Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Mr. Covalent, and in this video I'm going to be going over how to name binary covalent compounds. So let's get into this. So in this video I'm going to go over several different examples of naming binary covalent compounds. As the name binary implies, there are two elements in the compound, and covalent implies, or molecular if you prefer that term. A covalent compound or a molecular compound is a compound that is made up of only non-metals. There's no metal in there. Now, it's not an ionic substance. It's not made up of ions. So that's the substance that we're naming. And so you have to remember that when you're naming the binary covalent compounds, then you're going to be using those Greek prefixes to identify or indicate what the number of each element you have. So if you have two elements, or I should say, if you have two of a particular element, then you're going to use the Greek prefix di. If you have three, then you're going to use the Greek prefix tri, and tetra and penta, and so on. So that's what we're going to use. And so let's go ahead and get started on these problems. So let's start with A. We have N2O5. So we got to name this. So we're going to start with the element name. So again, very similar to naming of the ionic compound. So you put the first element's name first and the second element's name second. And just like with the ionic compounds, you're going to change the ending of the second element and add the IDE ending. So just like you would with the ionic compound. The difference here is we're not going to use Roman numerals. We're not going to use anything like that to identify how many of each element you have. We're going to use the Greek prefixes. So I have nitrogen here, so it's going to be the name of the element, nitrogen, and then I got to add a prefix to that name in order to identify how many of the nitrogens I have. I have two nitrogens, so I'm going to use the prefix di. So the name here would be dinitrogen for the first part of the name. Now for the second element, here I have oxygen. I'm going to get rid of the ending, and I'm going to keep the root, and then I'm going to add IDE. So nitrogen becomes nitride. I'm sorry, oxygen. So sorry, I'm looking at nitrogen and I'm thinking oxygen. So oxygen goes from oxygen to oxide. So I'm going to have oxide, but I need the Greek prefix for 5, so that's penta. Now, if I add penta here, it would read pentaoxide, but that doesn't really flow off the tongue. So whenever we have A for penta with the O oxide, we drop the A. So it's not pentaoxide, it's just pentoxide. So we would spell it like so. Oops. Drop the A and add oxide. So pentoxide. So dinitrogen pentoxide would be the name of this substance. Okay, let's go to the next one. So here we have NO2. So NO2, we named the first element. So remember, the rule also is if you only have one of the first element, you don't use a prefix. Normally, the Greek prefix for one is mono, but we don't use mono when we only have one of the first element. So here we only have one nitrogen, so it's not mononitrogen, it's just nitrogen. So we're going to say nitrogen. This is the only time that you're not going to have a prefix, when you only have one of the first element in your covalent compound. Next, we have 2 for the oxygen. So again, it's going to be oxide. So we drop the ending for oxygen, the ogen ending, and we add oxide. So then we have a di here. So di for 2. So it's dioxide. And if you have an I vowel ending for the prefix, you don't need to drop anything. You can have the I and the O together. So dioxide is fine. So nitrogen dioxide is the name of this one. Here we have NO. Again, we only have one nitrogen, so we're not going to use the prefix mono in this case. So it's, again, nitrogen. And here we only have one oxygen, so we are going to use the Greek prefix mono in this case. So here it would be mono, and then oxide for oxygen. Now again here, the vowel O and the vowel O here together doesn't really, we don't say monoxide, so we just drop the O and combine it together, so it's monoxide. So the O from mono gets dropped, and so it's monoxide. So nitrogen monoxide is the name of that substance. Okay, next we have P2O5. So here we have 2 phosphorus. So we're just going to add the Greek prefix di and just write the name of the element. So remember here, nitrogen, nitrogen, nitrogen. It's just the name of the element, just like we do with the ionic substances, but we don't have a metal here. So this is phosphorus. So 2 Greek prefix is di again, so it's diphosphorus. And then we have 4 oxygens again, or 5 oxygens again. So that's going to be pentoxide again. So pentoxide is the second part. So diphosphorus pentoxide is the name of this substance here. Next, we have PCl3. So here we have only 1 phosphorus, so we're not going to use the prefix mono. It's just phosphorus. And we have 3 chlorines. So 3, the Greek prefix for 3 is tri. So chlorine, we're going to drop the ending and add IDE, so it's chloride. Again, just like the ionic compounds, but we're going to use Greek prefix tri. So trichloride. So phosphorus trichloride is the name of this substance. Here we have CO, probably very familiar with a lot of you. So here, just like with NO, here we have C for carbon. There's no, it's only 1 carbon, so no prefix, no mono for that. So just carbon. And then we only have 1 oxygen, so that's going to be monoxide again. So just like here, monoxide. So not monoxide, just monoxide. Here we have H2S. Now this can be named like an acid, but since we're talking about binary covalent compounds, we're going to name this like a binary covalent compound. So here you might call this hydrosulfic acid or hydrosulfuric acid. But here we're going to have we're going to name it as a covalent compound, as a molecule. So here we have hydrogen, so that's the first name. We have two of them, so that we're going to use the Greek prefix di. So dihydrogen. So dihydrogen, and then followed by sulfur. Sulfur, we drop the ending at IDE. We only have one sulfur, so it's a monosulfide. So monosulfide. And finally, we have NH3. So here you might know this by the common name, which is ammonia, right? So you could write this as ammonia as the name, the ammonia. That's the common name. But if we're going to name it according to the rule of binary covalent compounds, we would then say for break it up into its two parts. So for the first one, we have one nitrogen, so it's just nitrogen, right? So nitrogen. Again, if you only have one of the first element, then there's no prefix. We don't use mono. And then we have three hydrogens. So hydrogen, you drop the ending, you add IDE, so it's hydride. And then you have three, so we use the Greek prefix for three, which is tri, so trihydride. So nitrogen, trihydride. So that would be the molecular name. That would be the name according to the rules of naming binary covalent compounds. And so this is how you name your binary covalent compounds. And so if this was helpful in any way, if this makes sense to you, if you enjoyed this video, then please like the video, hit that like button, share the video with your friends. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. When you do, make sure you click the notification bell. And when you do that, make sure you click all so you can be notified by all the videos I put out. And then finally, put a comment down below in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Ask me questions. Also, if you have a question or if you have a problem you want me to answer, if you have a concept or thing, something you want me to go over in a video, I would be happy to do that for you. Thanks for joining me and have a great day.